We're on.
All right, hey everybody. This is the Helm developer stand-up for February 7th, 2019. Let's see, we'll start with announcements, we'll do stand-up, go into any discussion topics, and then issue assignments for next week. So for announcements, we had the Good First Issue app added. Anybody want to say a few words about that?
Sure, we talked about it last time here. Basically, if you tag something as Good First Issue, that can be with spaces or dashes between the words. It'll show up on, there's a Twitter account that tweets Good First Issues for people. So all it does will tweet when a label's added for one of those. We already have the issue on the Helm repo, or the label on the Helm repo. I haven't looked at whether it's a standard one or not, but I know we have it over there. So that's it. We did the vote. We talked about it here last week, and now it's live.
Cool. Thanks. All right, we can jump into stand-ups. Josh, you want to get us started because you're a rock star that got your stuff merged this week?
Yes. So super excited. Yesterday got the initial registry work merged. So thank you, Adam and Matt, for reviewing, and also everybody for talking the last few months, especially. Yeah, so we have a bunch of commands in Helm 3 under Helm chart that work with registries, and I think we'll have to talk about what to do with all of this, but I think it's a good first step. Thanks. Let's see, Matt, Farina.
Merged some stuff on the Helm Hub, talked about some OCI stuff. That's about it. It was not a very effective week for me. Michelle.
Following up with issues, nothing stands out. But this week I'd really like to switch gears and start working on the Helm test stuff. The proposal isn't merged because I didn't sign my commit. So I just realized that, so I'm going to sign my commit and try to get that merged. Let's see, Brian, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, I've been doing refactors on the Lua VM. It's basically the same thing last week, but the progress I've made is isolating out the particular difficult APIs that are documented in the Lua spec for manipulating tables. So I now have a table type that is an implementation of the Lua table semantics, so like a hybrid array hash table. But what's cool about that is I can now access tables in the Lua stack as interfaces instead of trying to use the various APIs that are designed to manipulate tables in place on the stack. And then I've also been doing some investigative and refactoring work around the Lua call stack to implement and support proper tail recursion, which is part of the Lua spec. The current implementation also overflows the stack because it doesn't implement tail recursion. So I'm taking a closer look at the design of the Lua call stack in Go Lua. Yeah, that's about all I have to say right now. I'll pass it over to Fisher.
Sure. So this last week has been mostly doing PR reviews. So yeah, Josh Dolitsky's PR review on that. I've been primarily focusing on Helm 3 review. So helping out Adam, kind of unblocking him where he needs help with those kind of things. And then, so what I'm planning on doing this week is taking a look at some of the Helm 3 stuff and also just kind of starting to tackle those things off. So yesterday, I was actually going through the Helm 3 development on Windows, and I wasn't able to get the makefile working for me, so I was made a PR to make the makefile work on Windows. Other than that, this week it's going to be issue triaging as well as Helm 3 development, pairing a lot with Adam on that, and then KubeCon CFP reviews. So, woo-woo. That is the majority of this week. Taylor.
So I have not been able to do much this week at all, just due to things I've had to get done with normal day job stuff. So I will be trying to get back into some more next week and catch up on the backlog. Sorry about that, Martin, namely, because I said I would get to your issue and I couldn't. So I will try to get to that as soon as I can next week and get back into reviewing some PRs. I'm trying to do Helm 2 stuff, so Michelle isn't the only one randomly touching issues, because that feels like a terrible job to take on by yourself. So I'm trying to make sure I go through those and handle any PRs. And then I will have stuff to say on the 213 cut discussion in a little bit. So that's it for me. Let's see. I lost track of who all went. Luckily, I have the notes. Let's have Mr. Slicknick go.
Hey guys, so last week mostly just looking into curating some issues on the issue queue. This week is going to be super busy for me with a couple of customer visits, so probably won't have much time to work on Helm stuff, but we'll look to see what's going on so I can pick up the week after. So I will pass it on to Adam.
Yeah, so lots of Helm 3 stuff this week, mostly around code reviews, a couple big PRs to review. So that's where most of my time was spent, as well as just trying to organize some top level stuff, because Fisher has volunteered to start getting more involved with helping out with the reviews and getting this, getting everything up and moving again. So thank you for that, Fisher. Yes, I have CFPs to review also, which I'm dreading. Let's see, has anybody not gone? Martin?
Yeah, so this week I've been kind of mixing between V2 and V3. I was doing some triage around the issues, so managed to close a couple of issues that were just waiting to be finished out. Also, I started doing some PR reviews, so just starting on them and getting going with them. From a V3 perspective, I broke down the lib chart because it became PR became too unmanageable, really, just started getting too large. So yeah, we can, whenever you're ready, we can have a chat on that, Adam. And yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you. Not sure who's next.
Awesome. I think that was everybody. All right, so we got a few discussion topics on there. First one is around 2.13. Fisher?
Yeah, so let me look at the notes quickly and see which one that one was. Oh, okay, so this one was the specific thing I was asking about Matt Butcher. So this is PR number 5210. This pull request in particular is about upgrading the gRPC, basically the dependency in there. There's been some patches since the last time we've updated gRPC that fixes some of the issues with TLS connection issues. So like if you're doing you basically get a hang up connection in certain cases with that. But with this bug, it apparently fixes it. So I was just going to ask Matt Butcher on what's the status on that particular PR, if we're ready to merge it, and if we are, then should we be getting ready to go for a 2.13 release with that? Considering how much we've got in the PR queue now that we've just recently merged a whole bunch. So I can take this one offline and ask him later about what we're doing.
Yeah, my only concern would be what actually breaks with the gRPC. Is there going to be any sort of compatibility issues?
Yeah, there is. So actually, I just noticed on an issue actually for the Helm diff plugin. I can't remember the actual GitHub handle of the person who maintains that project right now, but he mentions that he vendors in the Helm client libraries in there. So what will basically happen is that the Helm diff plugin at the very least will be affected by this change and will not be able to work unless they vendor up to Helm version 2.13.0. Otherwise, they just won't be able to communicate with Helm on the gRPC changes were for, I think it's just for the get description and get subnotes APIs. I think everything else on the wire is unchanged. So unless if Helm diff affects those, then it would be affected. Otherwise, it's just those two changes over the wire, I think.
Okay, so it's not something that would be breaking for any generated clients off those protobufs? That's what my concern is if we do this upgrade, then anybody that generates their own client off the protos will be forced to upgrade or have it not work.
So how often do the protos change when we do these upgrades? Like what's happened in the past when this kind of situation has come up?
I don't think
that's what's
really
happened. People have had to go in and regenerate their clients in order to be able to talk to the API.
I think the last time this happened was very, very early on, like 2.4.0 or something. This has not happened for a very long time.
Yeah, it was, what's his name from AppCode or whatever it is? Tamal, yeah, he raised an issue when we did a bump prior, very similar to this, that we broke all of his stuff. So that's my only concern, is just make sure we don't break everybody else's clients that might have generated it off of the proto.
So if we were to cut a release like an RC sooner, as soon as that lands, and then announce that out to the people who we know will be affected and the user group to make sure that people test it out, would that be a safer way of doing it?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there is an actual issue. I was just asking the question, has anybody tested to know if there is a concern? Because there might not be one.
I have not tested this PR out to make sure that it has broken other changes.
But it probably will.
Yeah.
We should just bite the bullet because the network issues are the problem. So
yeah, I didn't look at what the original issue is, so there is a cost that should be weighed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there's an alternative way that we can fix the TLS issues without having to upgrade gRPC, because I don't think the gRPC binary protocol necessarily is the reason why that breaks or fixes the TLS connection issues. So I wonder if there's an alternative approach that we could try. So maybe we should try and pair with Butcher on this afterwards, because he's probably gone through and dive deep into this code and figured out where the TLS connection issue is, if any, in there. And then we can see if we can find the right solution, if there is one, and then try and weigh that cost there. Does that seem at least a little bit of a more tenable solution?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll take the action item for this after this meeting, whenever Butcher is out of meetings, and try and pair with him on that and see what he thinks we can try and do.
Sounds good.
Yeah, because looking at the generated files, the changes are, it looks like it just changes the order of stuff that was generated. So it might not be an issue at all.
Well, it changed the output of the file descriptor, and I'm not sure if that changes things. Or you mean that changed the order of the file descriptor, the gzip file descriptor product?
I'm looking at the generated file, killer.protobuf.go.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at that too.
Yeah, and it looks like the diff that was generated is just get subnotes and get description. It's just the order changed on it.
The order slightly did change, but also the return signature changed as well, from a return of a string, or from a Boolean to a string. Oh no, that's the reordering.
It's just the order, yeah.
Yeah, that's me being an idiot. Never mind.
So.
I think Matt was just because they were regenerated, he was being very, very touchy about it because it's a regenerated thing, right?
Okay, yeah, so it might not be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I will check with him offline just to make sure he doesn't know anything else that we can't see here on the first glance.
Okay, and we gotta watch time, so should we go ahead and step through some of these? Okay, there's another one on here. Some community members are asking to cherry pick a few PRs.
Yeah, so there was this one particular patch, 5186, which is it was not a regression that was introduced in the version 2.12 release. It's actually been a bug, I think, well before 2.10. And some people were asking if we could patch that. And I was basically pushing back on that, saying that we generally don't, because it's not a regression that was introduced this release. So we generally roll those into the next. But I guess that was predating this conversation with seeing about what the status of the last PR was, to see how far away we were from a version 2.13.0. And if so, that would make it a lot easier to make the sell that this patch will get rolled into 2.13, and you only have to wait probably a week or two before that patch is fully released. So that's what I was just asking about, is what kind of general timeline do we have for 2.13? So again, I can take that one offline, and we can carry on with the other discussion items.
Okay. Is the proposal R4 runner for V2, V3? Oh, is this the proposal? Looks like you put that one on there, Martin.
Yeah, that's just Taylor didn't get a chance during the week. It's gone on from a while back, and I just pulled together people's opinion around how Helm tests should work. So if you look at, we'd say quickly, if you look at other kube ecosystems, they normally run their tests, clean up afterwards, and spit out the outputs. Whereas with the test, if it fails, it leaves the pod so you can debug. So the idea here is that I think it should run that way, and then put in a flag if you want to keep the pod afterwards, if you want to debug into it or whatever. So yeah, just pulling that together, and is it something we should do for V2 or V3? And if we'll say the people who are involved don't want to do it, I can do the PR.
Yeah, have you checked out the proposal for Helm test for V3? It's in a pull request, so I wouldn't be shocked if you haven't seen it. But
Okay.
I'll grab a pull.
Sorry, Michelle, yeah.
Yeah, I'll grab a link to that and throw it in here. But the idea is Helm test in V3 will have subcommands to handle this to give people a better handle of how they want to do cleanup and when they want to do cleanup as a subcommand instead of doing the flag work. Now, if we wanted that on Helm 2 and someone wanted to contribute that, like what we're talking about here is putting this functionality behind flags. So we may just want to take another look at the Helm 3 proposal and then come back to this and see what exactly we want to do. I can take a look at this
Yeah, perfect.
a little bit further.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I'll have a look at if you pop the link in there. Thanks.
And then Michelle, you want to give a quick Helm Summit update before we do assignments?
Yeah, totally. So I want to do this every week so everybody we don't lose momentum. But we are still in the process of confirming a venue. And so CNCF is helping us take care of that. We definitely want to do Amsterdam. We definitely want to do it the second week of September. And we are still working on the program committee application. Some CNCF folks offered to do the logistics of creating the application for us. So we are waiting on them. I think they're a little bit tied up this week. So FYI, things are moving along. That's the update. That's it.
Thanks, Michelle. All right, who wants to be issue Sherpa? Fisher. And I'll take on the V3 issue and PRs.
I'll help out as well on V2.
All right, and moderator? I can do it again.
Okay.
And notes.
I can do notes.
Hey, Martin, thanks so much, by the way, for all your comments. Every time I go into an issue, I see that you've already commented, and it's really helpful. So thanks.
Yeah, I apologize in advance if I put in comments that have been like a claimer. And usually Matt Fisher or somebody else jumps in and rescues the burning house. So thanks for that.
It's really helpful for me. Thank you.
I second that as well. So.
Awesome.
I see that Josh is held up and doesn't have a name down for the moderator. I think we didn't come to a consensus on that. Do we know who's moderator?
Adam.
It was.
Yeah.
It's all
What?
Me and Michelle are going to thumb war for it.
Okay.
We could practice beforehand and complete each other's sentences.
Yeah, we're going to co-lead.
Yeah. Co-chair.
Every other word. All right, 1 minute left. Any burning desires?
We did miss the application for Google Summer of Code.
Oh.
So I'm sorry. I thought it was tomorrow and I was going to propose some stuff, but.
What a good program. Oh, yeah. Is anybody going to Barcelona, from here, just for KubeCon? I'm just curious.
I'm waiting to hear about the talks.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, I'd probably go, but that's easy from my side.
Okay.
All right, then. Thank you very much, everybody. See you all on the internet.